value with decimals. I'm going to erase this so we have room to work. And here we have a place value chart similar to the one we had last week. Here we have one period, and this is our ones period. We have another period, and this is our thousands period. And another period, and this is our millions period. Now we're going to continue on to this direction after the decimal. Right here is our decimal point. After the decimal point, we have tenths, hundredths, and thousandths. Notice that each one ends with a THS. That lets us know that that's going to be after the decimal. Okay, we're going to go first over why we have tenths right here and not like once or something. Why our number system goes slightly different when we get past the decimal. So let me show you on a number line. On a number line, a decimal number comes between 0 and 1. And in between that 0 and the 1, there are 10 equally spaced sections. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Each of these sections is 1/10 of the whole. So we could write that as this is 1/10. Another way to write that is 1/10. And we read both of them exactly the same way. This would be 2/10, 2/10, 3/10, 3/10, and all the way across. Those are tenths. Now, if we take one of these tenths right here, and we're going to expand it, we're going to start with 0, and over here is 1/10. And in between the 0 and the 1/10, this area right in here, we're going to divide that equal into 10 equally spaced groups. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Each of these sections is actually, if we go back up to the top, there's 10 down here. We've just made it bigger down here so that we can see it better. Each of these is a hundredth. So this is 1 100th, 2 100ths, and we can write this down here, 1 100th, 2 100ths, 3 100ths, etc., clear across. Now, if we take one of these 100ths sections and we're going to expand it down here, we're going to make it bigger. We're expanding it. We're going to start with 0 again, but on this end is 1 100th. We have to make it bigger so that we can actually see what's happening. And in between here, there are again 10 equally spaced sections. Pretend like these are equally spaced. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Each of these is 1,000th. Each of these is actually 10 in here. And each of these up here would be like itty bitty ones. You got to fit 10 in each of those little sections. So each of these is 1 1,000th. They're teeny tiny. So this is 1 1,000th, 2 1,000ths, 3 1,000ths, etc. And again, we can write that as a fraction. 1 1,000th, 2 1,000th, and 3 1,000ths. So that's what a decimal number is. Now we're going to take a look at what we can do with our decimal numbers, which will be kind of a review from last week. So let me erase these. Bigger. Okay, so we're going to do place versus value again. Very similar to what we did last week. So let's say we have the number 54 hundredths. The 5 is in the tenths place. It is the position of a number on the place value chart. This is the place. It has a value of 5/10. So it has a value of 5/10, or you could write it 5/10, or you could write it 5/10. Those all are, this, and this are all the same, and we read them all the same. The 4 is in the hundredths place. Is in the hundredths place. That's its place again. It has a value of 4 hundredths. And again, we can write that as 4 hundredths or 4 hundredths. All three of those are the same. So that's place versus value. Let's quickly erase that. And we'll go on to how to read a decimal number. So there's two different things to remember. One is, we'll do two different examples and then you can see. So let's say we have this number right here. When we get to the decimal point right here, we're going to say the word and. So this would be, we would read this 5 and then we look at the whole number that's after the decimal. That says 23, so we're going to write that. Oops. And now we look at the last place where it ends. It ends in the hundredths place. So we say 5 and 23 hundredths. We just say the last place where the decimal ends. We need to make sure we have that THS on it. Okay, now let's say we have a number that doesn't have anything in the whole number area. It only has a decimal number. Let's go ahead and just do 23. In this case, we don't say and. We just say 23 hundredths with that TH. So again, we just look at the whole number here. It's 23. We look at the place that it ends in. It ends in the hundredths place. So that's what we say at the end. So that's how you read decimal numbers and how you write decimal numbers in word form. Okay, let's get rid of this. And now let's look at writing decimal numbers in expanded form. So we'll just do a couple of different examples. Let's take 14 and 203 thousandths. So we're going to just do one digit at a time. We'll start with the 1. The 1 is in the tenths place, so that's going to be 10. We're done with that now. Plus, the 4 is in the ones place, so that's just 4. Now we've come to the decimal. We're not going to put the decimal right here. We're just going to do the adding. But once we come to the decimal, we know it's going to look a little bit different. So we look at the 2. The 2 is in the tenths place, right? We're going to put, there's a couple different ways you can do it. You can do 2 tenths like this. Let's just do it all this way, and I'll show you all 3 different ways that you can do it. So you can do 2 tenths plus, we look here, 0 is just a placeholder. When we're doing the expanded form, we don't put that. We look at the 3. The 3 is in the thousandths place, so that's going to be 3 1,000ths. So that's one way. Another way you can do it, I'll just go ahead and do the 2 plus the 4, is to write 2/10 and 3/1000. Another way to write it would be that you'll see it this way. 2 times 1/10 plus 3 times 1/1000. And I will accept any of the 3 ways that you feel most comfortable with. But you will see on the worksheet problems that look like this that you need to change from this back into the standard form. So let's quickly look at how to do that from this, because this is what it looks like on the worksheets. So we've got, let's look at just the whole number part first. Since these look like this, we know that those are going to be decimals. So 10 plus 4 is 14. Since these are decimals, we know there needs to be a decimal point. And now we look at this 2. The 2 is times 1/10, so we know it needs to be in the tenths place. I like to put 3 things here for tenths, hundredths, and thousandths. 2 goes into the tenths place. There are no hundredths, so I'm going to put a 0 in the hundredths place, and there's a 3 in the thousandths place. And that's how you would go from expanded form into standard form. And that is, oh wait, there's one more thing we've got to cover actually on it. So let me get rid of this real quick. And that is when we multiply or divide by powers of 10. So this will be just like when we did it with whole numbers that we learned this week. So let's say we have the number, let's do our A and B comparison. And let's put 15 and 23 hundredths. And we're going to compare the 5 in this with the 5 in this right here. Okay, so when you're comparing with these, you want to line them up by their decimals if you don't have a place value chart to put them on. If you do, then just put them in your place value chart. So I'm going to put my decimal here. This is 5, 1, 2, 3. Make sure you line everything up really carefully. And if you want to, you can even put lines in between. I'm going to use a different color on here to make it easy to see. Oh, that was not a very good color to choose. Okay, and we're going to see that the 5s are 2 place value positions apart. So that, remember, is times 10 or times 100. So we could say, we look at the numbers right here. Since this 5 is a whole number, it's on this side of the decimal. This is the bigger number right here. So we're going to say A is 100 times greater than B when we're looking at just the number 5, their digit 5. In fact, we should have put the place value on these first. So that's a 5, and this is a 5/100. And it is 100 times bigger. So that's how you do it. Very similar to what we already did with just whole numbers. And that is place value with decimals.